Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, July 23rd. Listen to THHoopers, Carlos Boozer's favorite basketball podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Lehman. With me, I'm joined by, as always, the guy with the too much hair to handle, George Martin.
Hello, everyone.
Getting a haircut soon?
I don't know. You said you like the top. We'll clean up the sides. We'll see where we'll go from there.
I like when it sticks up like Jimmy Neutron. And then you play and it gets all sweaty, gets in your eyes, and you can't make layups.
I need a headband soon.
But we move. No Josh again, but again, valid excuse. He's in Hawaii. Aloha. That's where they filmed the Best Adam Sandler movie, 50 First Dates, so I'm cool with it. But yeah, just me and George, but still got a good pod for you guys as we're going to recap the whole playoffs, not game by game, as you know we do, but just some key questions, try to get some from fans and listeners of the podcast. We're just going to see where it goes, but if you guys like what you hear, make sure to follow us at THHoopers, Instagram and Twitter. Mostly Instagram, and then George, yet again, what is your Twitter?
G_Martin21.
Fake Gucci belt, blah, blah, blah. You know who he is. You get roasted, you get like put in a whirlwind these last few days, or was that a
I put a little bit of a bait tweet. I put 2021 Yanni was better than 2016 LeBron. All the Clutch Mafia showed up in my mentions. Some people were screenshotting my profile photo and commenting with it, but it's all in good faith. I mean, interactions are nice, especially when you got small following like me. I'll take it. I'm psycho for that attention, as Lehman always likes to say. But that's where I posted our pod post from last pod. I'm going to keep doing it there. And then I also tag our podcast account if anyone wants to go back there and follow. So we get enough views, get enough lookovers. So it's fun.
Good stuff. Didn't mention it last podcast, so I'm sure everyone knew. Still a little bit under the weather. I just blew my nose before this podcast, so I shouldn't have to do it again. But if I start sniffling, George, you better call me on it. But yeah, let's get into this. Playoff recap. I want to start with just the overall thing, the overall problem that kind of plagued this, the essence of the Band-Aid ring, mafia. Injuries plaguing high seeds. Did that put a huge damper in your mind? Well, what was that? Obviously, it hurt the playoffs, obviously. But do you think it was still enjoyable seeing these young teams kind of get these opportunities to come out and do what they did?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Just seeing some of these guys in their first playoffs rise to the occasion, rise their stock. We saw so many guys. John Morant, we saw Trae Young. Poor Julius Randle didn't raise his stock much, but D-Book obviously getting to his finals. I felt it really helped like the entire landscape of the NBA. It kind of gave us that parity feel. And, when the top dogs, the LeBron, Stephs, and KDs, Hardens, when they all get back healthy next year, we can kind of have this clash of like, the guys who should have ran the table this year versus the guys that did, last year. And we kind of get this cool landscape that, I don't know, like a changing of the guards type thing. So I definitely enjoyed it. I know like to the super casual eye, it was probably different for people to watch. And I think there was a decrease in viewage percentage, but overall I enjoyed it. I had fun watching these guys raise their stock. So overall it's fine with me.
Well, you say changing of the guard, but I'll liken it to something that's happening right now. I'm in Arizona getting flash flood warnings, but there's barely any rain. Next year, we're going to see guys come back. It's going to be kind of a false alarm again. So do you kind of have that same thought there too? Because it can't be changing the guards if LeBron and KD come back next year and run the table again. The Trae Young's out of the first round again. And the Chris Paul's leave D-Book, and he's out of the first round again. So where does that kind of leave you?
I guess we are a few years away because we all expect the guys that I mentioned to get back to an elite level. So maybe that word was poor usage of it. But I just think that there's a little bit of a shift. These guys are coming, and there's more people, more players that haven't seen the playoffs as well that could make it next year. The Zions, De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, just the younger guys, the younger generation, making a name for themselves, I think, was the better use of that term.
Gotcha. Yeah, and speaking of those new guys making a name for themselves, we had a lot of surprises, some good, some bad, but two good ones were the Suns and the Hawks. What surprised you more, the Hawks run to the conference finals or the Suns taking the Bucks to 6?
See, this is tricky, as we talked about this before, because we both had the Suns out in round one. Hawks, I also had out in round one. So
I'm not going to sit here and say it. I have the Hawks out in round 1 too. I had the Knicks taking a 7, but they disposed the Knicks in 5. So
I'll go with the Hawks here. I think some people viewed the Suns as a threat to make it out west. I knew some people who said that. I just think with the Hawks, everyone had been saying there was 3 teams it was just top heavy, and no one else was a threat or much of a chance. And they took out a Knicks team very quickly, quicker than I think everyone had expected. Then they, take the 6 or 7. Obviously there was some injury concern, but I just think their adversity, they were a very young team. They punched back every time. Besides like Clint Capella, there wasn't really many guys who had gone far. So
they had a new coach as of like 3 months before the playoffs who was doing a great job, but still, it's a new coach and you're going to go into the playoffs like this. Normally that momentum carries to the regular season, but then that coach wins you 2 playoff series. That's crazy. Especially
with the Hawks, I think I just kept doubting them every time they had advanced and gone through. The Suns, I kind of felt as they kept rolling that they were only going to get better through the playoffs. So that's why I think Atlanta was more surprising to me.
I'd probably go Atlanta just because you want to get technical. Like Suns were a 2 seed, and we had guys that really did believe in them too. Mostly Suns fans, but yeah, as far as the Hawks go, they're the 5 seed. No one has them winning round 1. No one has them winning round 2. I had them winning round 3. That's when I was like, I'll leave them the Hawks now, and they lose then.
You got on the bus. You got on the bus.
Fear the deer. But yeah, I think does anyone else come to mind as far as the prizes this playoffs?
I'll say the Clippers getting into the conference finals
because the Kawhi injury, because the mentality they showed. That's where I kind of go at. The mentality they showed was a very surprising one.
I'm gonna give you the Marquis George answer. It's both. It's sorry.
It's always both.
Because obviously the resilience they showed, complete 180 flip from last year's team. They would have, if that had happened, if Kawhi had went down, or they went down 2-0 twice. I thought they were shutting down after, especially in that Dallas series. I thought Dallas was winning that in like 6 after that. They showed resilience twice. They overcame their demons and flaws. And Kawhi goes down, and you have to ask Paul George, who is like the CEO of playoff demons lately, to get them to somewhere they've never been before. And he showed us like Indiana Paul George. So, I mean, that was pretty damn impressive.
So, yeah, he was great. I would say he was the Clippers MVP over Kawhi. But who was the overall MVP of these playoffs? I feel like we both have the same answer. And I'm not going to play devil's advocate here because it's too obvious. So we'll probably just give him a lot of credit here and move on. Who's the MVP of these playoffs?
It's the Finals MVP. I mean, what else can we say? They also went down 2-0 twice, and just every game they kept fighting back. And he also did it a majority of the time with 2 of his best stars shooting below 40% from the field. I mean, he's out there. I almost called it like his 2018 LeBron moment, because anytime he came off the floor, that lead or deficit just went completely out of proportion. So definitely him. He conquered a lot of past failures. He improved every round and played his best basketball ever. So I think it's a pretty easy answer for me.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here. Oh, Kawhi had a chance he doesn't go down. Oh, Trae Young, they're supposed to go out first round. What happened? He has multiple 40-point games. He shushes the MSG Garden. But it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And, I mean, it's not close, especially because he comes back from injury, too. Like, he is their most valuable player if you want to get all technical about it, which I don't like doing. That's not how I vote for anyways. But, like you said, when he would come off that floor, and now you have, like, Chris Middleton running the offense or Drew Holiday's number 1 option, it's not pretty. And their defense suffers a lot too because they don't have that rim protector there. Brook Lopez is decent at it, but Giannis is their defensive player of the year. Was it wrapped up for you? But like, let's say they lose that series and they don't become champions. Is he still the MVP of the playoffs just because he is their most valuable, because of stats? What's the main reason he that does it for you?
I mean, I guess I would have had to see how they went out, but I still would probably have said that. I know a lot of people say, well, the winner gets to talk the most, so maybe they go crown like CP or Booker or something. But I just think every time he responded when they were down and when they asked for him. Backs against the wall, multiple 40-point games, just being incredible offensively and defensively. Was the best two-way player all playoffs. Even if Kawhi had not gotten hurt, I still think that would be the case. Just the best two-way player. And if they had lost, it probably wouldn't have been because of him. It probably would have been because of his two co-mates that weren't showing up for a majority of the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, but before that game 6, people were going, mostly CJ McCollum in the streets of Twitter. They're saying, why isn't Chris Middleton getting any credit here? How can someone on the same team, when he's not going to be Finals MVP till he drops that 50 bomb, supposed to be MVP of the final or MVP of the playoffs? Or is that just kind of CJ McCollum talking? Because you're on Twitter. People were saying, why is Chris Middleton not getting any credit? He dropped 40 multiple times in the playoffs. Is there any merit to that? Or
no, it's dumb. I mean, sure, if you want to give him like 2 or something, like 1 out of the 11, but just Yanni put themselves in that situation for Chris to be able to drop those 40 points. And yeah, sure, he might be their closer or whatever, but Yanni did it 3 times in one series. Like it's also Finals MVP. I don't think it's overall playoffs. So that narrative in itself is horrible. If you really watched that last game and thought Chris Middleton even had like 0.1% of a chance of getting a vote, then you had some like hindsight bias. There's no way.
I had to bring it up because I was seeing it around. They were like, he wasn't even the best player on his team for some of the games. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to get off Twitter, get back on Instagram and Tinder. But so yeah, MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the playoffs. Our pick, most people's picks. Now some fun little quirky questions. First one, it's a 2-parter. First part, who made it this year? Who made the playoffs this year that won't make it next year? And that is just the top 8. So play-in games do not count. So
okay,
you could go Warriors, or if you got another one,
you said play-ins don't count.
Yeah, so they didn't make the playoffs. Oh shoot, that's the second part. Go ahead and do this part.
Okay, I'll start with one team out west. I don't have my East team. Maybe you can take it. I'm gonna go with Portland. They were the 6th seed, I believe, and I'm not confident saying right now that they'll make it. I don't care what they do. I don't think they have a whole lot to flip this team around and be that successful. And you look at teams that missed it, Pelicans are sure going to be contending. Warriors will probably be there. And I just feel like they're running out of gas. They have a new coach, but their top player kind of sort of didn't want him. There's some backlash around him. And I saw reports saying that they're going to run it back potentially. They can't. They can't run it back for the 6th year or whatever. And I just don't think they have the assets to improve to come back next year in what should be a loaded West, health provided as always.
I like Portland just because the West can be crazy. I'm just surprised if half these teams fall in the West, but they're the team I have falling out the most. My pick is the Wizards. Rode them very hard this year. Pause. But I don't see how it continues next year, especially with someone's question in the air. But I'm thinking about this right now, and I want to get your opinions on it. Are the Knicks making the playoffs next year? Was this because I feel like this is a very hotly debated topic, or it should be at least.
Really?
Was this a one-time thing, or since it's the East, they can definitely do it again? Higher seed, lower seed? What? Just first impressions on the Knicks making.
They finished at 4.
Finished at 4.
But this was one of the worst seasons I have seen out of the Eastern Conference. I mean, there was you were like the 4 seed if you were a game over 500.
Celtics lower than them, Hawks lower than them, Heat lower than them.
I mean, I'm not gonna bash on him because I love him, but this Randall season was very, very phenomenal. And then you look at the playoffs, and it was, and just I know there was a unique circumstance of the regular season. Can he because he was playing like an All NBA second team guy. I don't know where he finished. It might have been right there, but if he can. I don't think they're bringing in any people unless it's like a home run trade. So
they're targeting a point guard. So we'll definitely have to see what they do in free agency or the draft. But you see Lonzo Ball connected to him. Oh, look, Chris Paul could get a max from the Knicks, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of rumors there, but it is New York. So take that with a grain of salt.
I might agree because I also look at the 2 teams who didn't get, in addition to the 4 you would name behind them, Pacers and the Hornets, who I'm incredibly high on going into next year.
Oh, yeah.
Hornets, they really got screwed with injuries. At one point, they were like 7-8 deep.
They're the 4th seed.
Exactly.
4 injuries.
Hayward, Bridges, PJ Washington, LaMelo, they all go out. And then the Pacers, kind of the same thing. Bring in Carlisle, offensive heavy coach. They have great pieces as long as they're healthy and bring most of those guys back. So I'm gonna agree with. I'll back you up there. I can't fully agree, but I think there's a chance that happens.
There's some merit. All right, now we're done being Debbie Downers. Who didn't make it this year that will make it next year? Let me hear it.
Well, I think we both have this. Definitely the Warriors. I think they're. I don't think they're going to be selecting on draft night those 2 lotto picks. We've seen
if
them
they do select, I don't see them making the playoffs.
They're a playing team again. If that happens, so obviously I can't say that, but I think they get risky here. I think you have to maximize on this core. These two franchise stars, and then Draymond as well. They don't come around that often. They surely locked into Steph. I'll tell you that. If Minnesota wasn't dumb at selecting,
shout out Johnny Flynn.
Probably selecting picks, they don't have the greatest shooter ever. But I'm going to take them. I'm confident that they get aggressive this offseason.
Okay. I'm probably going to go, obviously the Warriors. But I feel like the Hornets are as much of a lock as it gets.
Yeah.
And then also, like you mentioned, the Pacers. Rick Carlisle's not going to miss the playoffs in the East. He's not going to. Yeah,
that's you and no.
I love you, the Pacers. Grizzlies next year, higher or lower than what they finished?
They finished 8. I'm gonna go lower. They went into the play-in tournament as a 9, 10,
a
9. They were 9 because they played the Spurs on their home court.
Yes,
they were 9. I'm gonna.
What they show you in the playoffs?
I think they're the 9 seed because I don't know. Is there anyone behind them? No. I think they'll be in. I think they're gonna stay the same. So I think they'll be back in the play-in. Okay.
Going back to the playoff recap. What was the worst playoff series?
Yeah, the 1 through 8 in the Eastern Conference, Sixers versus Philly. Or no, Sixers versus Wizards. Goddamn, I had a brain aneurysm. But that series, most of the games weren't too competitive. The one game that the Wizards did win, that was when Embiid exited early with his knee injury. And there was just, I think those games were on very early our time. I think I was waking up to them, and I'm like yawning and stretching. I'm like, oh, this is boring. I turn it off, go take a nap, come back.
You're always yawning and stretching. You woke up at noon when the game was playing. You turned it on, turned it off when it took a nap. After you slept.
I just like ate and watched YouTube or something. But I don't know.
By the way, you were in Wisconsin when this series happened.
Yeah, noontime. That's when it was on.
Oh my god. Okay, continue.
But I don't know. I just felt like there wasn't enough storylines, enough, like passion. I don't know. Like Philly crowd is great, but when it got back to Washington, it was like a dud. Because
you got Scott Brooks' mom in there, and that's really it. Like,
I don't know. Even the game the Wizards won, it wasn't like all this, all that. It was a gentleman's sweep series, which did we have beside? I don't think we had.
I called that.
You called a gentleman's sweep? No, I'm just saying. Did we have another? I don't think we had another first round series like that. So.
Celtics also lost in 5, but I think it was game 3.
Yeah, but that whole series, Tatum was going crazy. Robert Williams looked like Bill Russell one game. Crowds were in it, and I don't know. It just felt like a more intense matchup. I really don't have much to explain it besides that.
I feel like the Celtics-Nets was also a pretty weak series. I probably would give you the Philly-Washington one, but also there was no defense played besides Time Lord Robert Williams he sweated 9 shots that game. That was crazy.
He almost had a triple-double with blocks.
But the Nets weren't trying. But I guess with Philly, the game that the Wizards won, Embiid goes out, so they can't really try. So yeah, those are 2 of the weakest ones. But I'd probably give you Philly, Washington. Even though I was really pulling for Washington, I thought they could have won Game 3. Came out, we're not ready. But what you gonna do? All right, fun time. Best playoff series. Well, you could say finals.
I also feel like this is obvious. The finals for sure. that was basically, besides, maybe some of the first series in the playoffs where both teams were, for majority of their rosters, were healthy. I know the Suns didn't have DiVincenzo, the Bucks didn't have DiVincenzo. That was the whole series.
Suns didn't have Dario Saric.
They lost Saric, and Torrey Craig was hampered, but I guess, who wasn't hampered by then? And he didn't really see many minutes as well, so it wasn't a big factor. Yeah. Entertaining it. Suns go up 2-0, and then we get 3 games back to back of game 4, 5, and 6. Like NBA hardwood classics, just highlight plays, momentous blocks, and the crowds fed into it well. Those two teams, their fan bases really wanted it. I felt like they had 2 of the best atmospheres outside of MSG, but they were yelling profanity, so I didn't like it. But
big Christian guy, George Martin.
We kind of got to see, the full experience of an NBA Finals series, and just, team goes down 2-0 when they're on the road. Playoff series doesn't start until a road team wins, so I felt like it was very entertaining. And for the Bucks to come back and win 4 straight, and the way they did it in the dominant fashion of the Finals MVP, I felt like that was just the complete series of these playoffs and the best one that we could have gotten with everything that went wrong.
Well, I actually didn't get to see the full experience of the NBA Finals because the Suns didn't make you go back to Arizona. So I don't know when Game 7 would have been. It was either going to be tonight or tomorrow night. Spend tonight bowling.
It would have been tomorrow.
I don't know what I'll spend tomorrow night doing, but it won't be in.
You went to Arizona to bowl? We could have done that here at Harley's.
I went to Arizona to feel what rain feels like because I can't do that in California, apparently.
It was a thunderstorm.
Arizona's it's more about the people you're with, but there's not a whole lot out here. Sorry, Joey. But, yeah. Going back to that, do you have a kind of a runner-up? Because, we got a great final series here. Do you have kind of a runner-up as far as series?
I
got one if you want me to go first.
Go first. I'm thinking between 2 right now, so you.
I liked Mavs Clips. Mavs Clips was a lot of fun. You say it's not a series till a road team wins. This was a goddamn series then, because every road team won every game except for Game 7. So that was a lot of fun. You had the Mavs go up 2-0. Everyone's like, Clippers might get swept. Oh my God, Kawhi's going to leave. Then they ties it up 2-2. Clippers win both road games. Everyone's like, okay, it's going to end in 6. Luka's washed. Mark Cuban's he can't build a team correctly. Trade Porzingis. Then they win that crucial Game 5, and everyone's like, this should be the Mavs series, right? Then Clippers rattle off 2 in a row. It was a great series just because it kept you on your toes. It kind of embodied this year's playoffs of what the hell is going to happen besides injuries. So the perfect series, in my opinion.
So I was going to go with Bucks Nets, but, Harden and Kyrie were out. That Game 3 was horrible. That 86-83, 1995.
No, that one was great. Why are you not making fun of the game where I think the Nets won by 50? That was the bad game.
That was bad too. No, I like the close, low scoring, like mid 90s, low 100s. But I don't know, that one was 6 minutes without a bucket. I'm like, what sport is this? But I'm gonna go with. I almost knocked my TV over here.
You got to mount that thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Can I do that in apartments? Anyways, I'm gonna go with Hawks Sixers. That series, that one was really unpredictable to me. And just the way Trey and the Hawks carried themselves, and the way Doc Rivers went out yet again in another playoff series. Trey comes out in Game 1, absolutely. They go up humongous, and then the Sixers almost rush back. Sixers take the next 2. And then, here we are in Game 5. The series is tied. Sixers blow a lead, that a 25-point lead that game, and then blow another one in Game 7. And we obviously have a certain fiasco at the end of the game. So I really didn't expect them to come back from that either. And I don't know, it was kind of fun seeing Philly lose. I don't know. I just felt like that was pretty entertaining. I felt like in the East, that might have been the best one. Yeah, that might have been the best one out of all.
Are you saying it's the most unpredictable because you changed your opinion 4 times on who was going to win? Because you had I think you had Sixers in 5, then you're like, uh-oh.
It was originally it was Sixers in 7. Then you guys were like, why did you say that? I said, well, Embiid's injury. And then you let me change it. I said, okay, Sixers in 6. Sixers in 6 all the way. And then the Hawks start, making noise. I'm like, And then you text me like, okay, I need your prediction on the last 2 games. I said Hawks in 7. So
you said Hawks in 6, but then Sixers in 7 if it happens. So you were wrong twice in one.
that's me.
Yeah, because remember it was a weekend pod. We're recording Thursday night,
So
and
2
we didn't
games,
record until
yeah.
Sunday. So there's
2
going to
games.
Friday and Sunday. That was funny. That was a great series too, and then also had a good segue to my next question. Biggest what if? My biggest what if. What if Ben Simmons dunks that hoe? Like down to 3.5 minutes left, he dunks it, gets that and one instead of passing it out to Matisse Thybulle. And B doesn't make that upset face. He doesn't get slandered for about a week straight, especially when his ex's new boyfriend is cooking the LA Clippers. Like, he didn't need that. He probably doesn't get, like, torn apart on the ESPYs by Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. Oh, my gosh, what's his name? Falcon from the Marvel movies. Like, there's just a lot of stuff there. And also, they probably win that game just because that was really the turning point. That's a turning point if I've ever seen one.
That's when they lost, yeah.
So I think biggest what if is definitely Ben Simmons just goes up with that. They tie it up. Probably misses the free throw, but it's tied up. And maybe that's where you make your run. But instead, Doc Rivers goes out as a failure yet again. If Doc Rivers gets fired, he won't. But if he does get fired, that's even a bigger what if. But luckily, Doc Rivers, it's not his third year or anything, so he's going to get at least a few more years after that disappointment. But yeah, that's my what if. That's a question brought to you by Josh Rhodes. He put in the chat when I asked if he had any questions.
That's an interesting one. I mean, they were down 2 at that point, especially if they get a dunk from Simmons. Any offensive output from him is electrifying enough to get Philly rocking and rolling. They tie that game up. You kind of felt like it was going towards their way. Atlanta just couldn't get that break where they finally would break it open. It was about 3.5 minutes left. Obviously, they do at the end where Trey gets that long bomb 3. But, yeah, no, I agree. Atlanta was struggling to put the ball in the basket. They showed their youth at the end of that series. And, yeah, you just feel like if Simmons dunks it, they get a swing of momentum, especially just energy is enough to be momentum in a Game 7 at home in the playoffs.
What's your what if?
Oh, man, there's certainly a lot here. I don't know where I could go. I think one of the most curious to me, like with the what ifs, is what if KD's toe was behind the 3-point line? Because I could go like injuries. But what if Kawhi or what if AD? But
what if KD's shoe size was 1 less? What if he? Yeah. What if he was true to size in his shoes?
What if he actually wore his shoe size? They win that game. Then they go on to play Atlanta, where I feel like even with KD, they probably win that alone. And then, look, Kyrie might come back. Harden is probably back for the finals. I think they crush Phoenix at that point. Nobody would have anything for KD or Harden, in my opinion. That might be a little bit of a bold take for you, but...
You're going a little crazy right now, but I like where your head's at.
Why not? But I think that one's the most unique. Because, yeah, you can always go injuries, but like a shoe size, especially when he lies, be like, yeah, I like wearing them a little bit bigger. I'm like, what?
Well, that's not a lie. That's just him being quirky because he's Kevin Durant. He likes Scarlett Johansson's bathwater and long walks on the beach. But yeah, he said it a lot that he likes the shoes big. And when you have a size 17 foot, I don't know why you like your shoes even bigger. But hey, that's KD. I like that one a lot. We could go with the injury side, but we already talked about those. And plus, every single playoff run has those. There's always a lot of injuries in the playoffs, and they suck. But I feel like we got 2 fun ones here. I wish we had Josh here to see what he would say, because what's this question, but we don't. So that's that. So that's the playoff recap, unless George has any brain blasts in the last half an hour since we started recording. So yeah, now we're just going to move on to a little bit of news, and then screw it. We'll see you Monday morning. But we're not done yet. We got 2 topics here, some to do with free agency, and then some for Team USA. So 2 qualifying options were, let's say, extended, that's the word, 2 players. We'll start with Taylor Horton Tucker, the Los Angeles Lakers. He was given a $1.9 million contract that he could sign. This, of course, makes him a restricted free agent. And I don't think he'll take this, but we got the Lakers expert, George Martin, here. What does this mean for the future of THT with the Los Angeles Lakers?
So obviously, yes, he can accept the qualifying offer, which would buy him 1 more year as a Laker, and then he can dip into unrestricted free agency next year. But yeah, obviously, I think the Lakers are going to try and sign him long term, get him on a pretty solid deal now versus waiting. Because if he takes a leap like we all expect, then it's going to be a little bit tougher to get him. So contractually, the Lakers have a pretty decent chance of getting him back if they want him. Obviously, they can offer the most out of any other team. I don't know if you've heard of this before. I actually saw it on Twitter a few days ago. It's called the Arenas provision. They can offer more than any other team, but it's interesting. Year 1 and 2, it's 9 and 10 mil, but then 3 and 4, it bumps up to like 30 mil and 32.
So that's because they want to protect second-round picks from getting screwed over in contracts. Because there used to be a max as far as like second-round picks, and I guarantee Chris Middleton benefited from the Arenas rule. That's obviously Gilbert Arenas, who was a hooper and was heavily underpaid until he was overpaid. He never really got a good contract, but good for Gilbert. He's in the big three now. But continue.
Yeah, so they can offer him more than any other team. They can tie him down for the next 4 years. So it really just comes down to where he wants to be. Obviously, he's clutch. LeBron has kind of taken him under his wing these past few years, especially last year's playoffs in the bubble when they were just throwing him in and out. Like, LeBron was damn near coaching him. He was coaching him more than Frank Vogel. So, yeah, I think the Lakers are looking for him to kind of be like a backup point guard, backup, like almost a six-man, which at times they needed him to be their only ball handler with injuries and stuff. So I think they want him for a role like that. I think they'll bring him back. I think it'll be fairly quick, and obviously he can be put in a trade, and that's a whole another thing we'll talk about soon. But in terms of this, I think that he will be signing a contract with the Lakers. I don't think he's going to go off on his own to sign. It'll be facilitated with the Lakers, but who knows? It could be facilitated with LA, and then he could be shipped in a trade. But I think for the sake of our conversation, he will sign with the Lakers.
Do you see a spot for him contractually in the Lakers' salary books? Because like we've already mentioned before, not a whole lot of wiggle room there. But I believe with his bird rights, they can wait. They do other free agency stuff, then bring it back and pay him with money over the cap. So do you see them doing that? But you did say it happened kind of quick. So where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, his contract at most is going to be like 10 mil, and they have his rights, and I don't think that's horrible. I think the Lakers need to kind of think what they want to do, because what they've been doing this. Yeah, we have LeBron and AD. We're going to surround them with 2-year, like very short contracts because they wanted to keep their books clean for, I think it was next summer or whatever. I think it was Beal's class. I think they wanted to keep it clean for that, for like a third guy. So if they want to, yeah, they can offer him a cheap qualifying offer, so they can keep their books clean for next summer. But as LeBron gets older, and AD does have slight injury concerns, I'm not too concerned. But if they want to have a core, for post LeBron era, then it probably is in their best interest to bring him back, THT, for multiple years.
So because every time I see a star come up for grabs in the NBA, it's THT who's in a first rounder.
And this too, or something.
Yeah, that's the delusional Laker fans that I feel like you've grown out of, but you are on Twitter a lot. Say some crazy stuff, so I don't know, maybe one day I'll see that offer for you too in the NBA.com trade machine. But do you believe he has a lot of value? Could he fetch a lot in the open market? And would you, as a Laker fan, do you want to see him brought back?
Free agent wise, I've only seen a few teams linked to him. Cavs I've seen. Maybe the Wizards I've seen.
Cavs want Caruso too. They're pissing me off.
Yeah, they want our young guns. I don't know why. Like, yeah, we took LeBron. You want to take stuff from us now? But
we gave you JaVale McGee.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah, I want him back for sure. I think I want like a nice mix of like a younger core with like the AC and the THT and then a bunch of other like defensive minded guys and vets. But I think it would be nice to have him in a six-man or just a backup guard role. I think with another summer of work, he can improve his shot making, and he needs a left badly too. But yeah, I would like to see him back for sure.
Cool. Moving on. Second guy that got a qualifying option. Very different circumstance. Name's John Collins. I hate John Collins, but he can win me over next year, I guess. He did I got to give him props where I got to give him props. He was playing very, very poor. He was complaining a lot, wasn't playing defense. And then towards the end of the season, in the playoffs, he was playing great defense. He was knowing his role very, very perfectly and knew finally, you know what? Trae Young's better than me. I'm not a number one. I'm a fit into my role. And he did just that, and he played very, very well. When he's doing the former, he was not expected to get anywhere near the money he wanted, 4 for 84, I think. And it's looking like now he could. So this qualifying offer is strictly to make him restricted, so he can't leave. He's going to decline it, no doubt. But what do you think he could fetch on the open market, and what are some teams? Actually, I'll say, do you think he's going to stick with the Hawks? I'll lead with that. And what do you think he can fetch from the Hawks?
I think it's in their best interest to keep him, definitely. I think they kind of view him as this 2010 guy that, next to Trae Young as like his two. He showed pretty good value in the playoffs. I think he was kind of rocky, but there's a lot of moments. There was a lot of big moments where he did show up. You did say what teams you think there could be interest. I know I've seen T-Wolves. We talked about that. Mavericks I've seen a little bit. And then I'm reading this article. I see Heat and Spurs. Heat, I don't think it's possible unless they want to be hard capped. Spurs, they're probably just in there. But remember, he did turn down, like you had mentioned, 90. I think it was a 90 mil or something. It was like 4 for 90.
I think it was 4 for 100. No,
it was.
Wow,
it was close to. It was close to it. Like it was as close to a max as I think he could have gone.
Is that what he wanted, or what he's turned down already?
He turned down 90 mil to bet on himself and secure more money. So I guess he can get over 100 mil. I don't think it was 4 for 100. That's a lot. For John Collins. But
if you're the Hawks, are you saying, here you go, John Collins and John Collins' agent, draft the contract, we'll dot the I's and cross the T's? Or is there a price?
I don't think so. They have guys similar to the Suns that we talked about. They got a lot of guys that they're going to need to ink up. They're going to need to ink up Onyeka. They're going to need to ink up Reddish, Hunter. Trae has
Onyeka just got drafted last year. So
okay, all right.
They could always ship out John Collins when they have to pay these guys, but I agree. Reddish and I believe Hunter could be due for extensions after next year.
I think they do need to keep him because they'd be thinner at the front court. This guy is kind of looked at as their number 2, and I don't know. I just don't feel like how would they replace him? I mean, yeah, maybe they could put like Hunter at the 4, I guess, or maybe they can draft another guy. But right now, especially if they're looking to, turn a corner and, compete and contend, I think you have to run it back with the same guys.
Do you think a lot of it is deciding the direction they want to go after, making the conference finals? Do they stay the course with these young guys? Or, I mean, hey, what if they ink up John Collins and trade Onyeka, Reddish for, another like fringe all-star, like a guy like CJ McCollum? God forbid we have Trae Young and CJ McCollum in the same backcourt, but a guy like him with that talent there who's in win now mode. Because if they do want to do that, John Collins is the right age, and he is pretty close to Trae Young's age as well. How big of a effect is the Big O injury? Because I've been mentioning him a lot. He's having surgery now. Did I see 6 to 8 months?
Yeah, 6 months at the least. It was a torn labrum shoulder injury. I don't know why they waited so long. I mean, we are in August damn near, and they were done what? Started July?
Late June.
Late June, started July. So I don't know. I mean, I guess 3 weeks isn't a whole heck of a lot here, but
he was on a Scottie Pippen. He was enjoying his summer.
Yeah, it's going to make him thin front court wise. So, like I had mentioned, that's a reason to bring Collins back. Because then you just got Capella out there, and he's looking around. He's like, "Who is my 4 and my backup?" But yeah, I think they need to bring him back for a plethora of reasons.
Okay, what are the odds they do bring him back to end it off here?
I'm fairly certain. I think there's going to be a little bit of a negotiation period. I wouldn't be surprised.
A little bit back and forth.
Some rumors,
a little bit agents coming in, but
transaction season. I don't think it's going to be like the 1201 chance bomb they hear, but
yeah, not like a Timothy Mozgov type thing.
God forbid. I woke up to that. Because I was on the East Coast. Woke up, I saw like Timothy Mozgov 4 for 64. I'm like, what are we doing?
I was watching the hit show Big Brother in my living room, and I see Timothy Mozgov has been signed to Lakers, and I really wanted him. I really wanted Timofey Mozgov. I didn't know at that time what's 4 for 64, how horrible of a deal that was, but I was like, we got our guy. But that's a story from another time.
Well, that was basically like the market value of free
that
agency.
was the Mickey Mouse offseason year.
That's when the cap spiked. That was the new CBA.
The KD year.
Yeah. Luol Deng. I mean, I think that was the
Kent Bazemore got a max.
No, who's that freaking some like random shooter got it. Got like a huge I forgot his name. This is gonna piss me off, but yeah, it's just a bunch of guys who didn't deserve contracts like that got big contracts.
Are you thinking of Nicholas Batum? He got 5 for 120.
That was horrible. That was like LeBron.
Well, you look at that. I'm gonna lead us into our next segment, our last segment. The boys are coming over from USA to Tokyo after the finals. Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, all making the trip out on their private jets. Hopefully, they're flying together so they can get to know each other after playing a long-fought 6-game series. Hopefully, Chris Middleton has the NBA trophy. Who got
That's when Drummond got his max too. Sorry,
I don't like Andre Drummond. But yeah, long story short, they're coming over. It's for Team Tokyo. So if you're done doing research, or I could try stalling a little longer, but what kind of effect is this going to have on Team USA? I don't know if any of them will start, but they get some defense here, and then also another just absolute bucket in Devin Booker.
Yeah, I did talk about this. Drew Holiday is going to be a big addition. I never thought I'd be saying that to the world's best basketball roster. He is going to compete. He literally doesn't have to worry about any offense, any ball handling. He is out there to switch on screens, fight on screens, 100% on defense, and he doesn't have to worry about a lick on the offensive end because they have ball handlers, they got scorers. He doesn't need to. He just can sit around there and do whatever he wants. Then the other guys, Middleton, he's actually going to be one of their better wing defenders on that team.
They got some defense coming over from these Milwaukee Bucks.
As much as I hate to say, I am praising these two to the highest regard right now for our nation's Olympic basketball team when I've been slandering them to the core of the earth for the last 3 weeks.
Who would have thought these two guys would be the avatars of the Team USA basketball?
This is like
the saviors.
This is like a calling right here. We need them, but now D-Book gets interesting. I talked about this with Nowakowski earlier on his podcast today. There's not a huge need for a guy like him. There's KD. We have ISO scorers. There's KD.
I like Zach LaVine more than him, and Zach LaVine's.
I like LaVine more too, especially off the bench. And I mean, if you can get him to play that off-ball role that you've been praising him for, I guess I like it better. But how I saw his usage in these playoffs, it doesn't look like that to me. So there's a little bit of concern of what role he's going to see. And I know he isn't. I don't think he's a guy that. I mean, maybe on the Olympic stage it's different, but he's going to buy into a role. I don't know. Is he going to put ego aside?
I don't know, man. Is Kendall there? Can she go to Tokyo? Or the Jared's welcome to Tokyo?
There's no fans.
I think these are 3 good players, and you can't have enough players for this team after we've seen so many things happen with the health and safety protocols. But yeah, I like the defense that comes over with Middleton, Holiday, and they know how to buy into a role. One's a former second-round pick. One guy has been missing the playoffs for his whole career until he bought into a role with the Milwaukee Bucks. He'll know how to do it. But with Booker, yeah, it's like when you go to the rec, when you go play pickup ball, you got your 5. One of them gets injured. You got to pick up the best guy from the team that just played, but he's like a ball hog, and he doesn't fit with your team, your scheme. I don't see where Booker fits with this team. He's like I said, an absolute bucket. Even though I don't like him too much as a player, he could drop 40 on any given night in the NBA. But for the Olympics, there's just too many players. You have KD for that role. You have Zach LaVine for that role.
You got Dame.
You got Dame Lillard. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be too much on defense. He's not too much of a secondary playmaker where he's going to make that extra pass. I don't know for Devin Booker, but maybe this changes. Excuse me.
Sneeze check.
Maybe this happens. This changes. Someone gets hurt, but yeah. As far as that goes, big on the Milwaukee guys coming over. Not so big on Devin Booker coming over. Alias Dad.
No, I'm still trying to find this damn free agent that was pissing me off when he got a huge deal. He was
what team did he sign for?
I don't remember, man. His name is it's like a faint memory in my mind. I'm trying to. I'll eventually find it. I'm not gonna be able to find it this episode. It's okay.
He'll be Monday's episode's favorite basketball podcast.
I got research to do.
You got homework, George. You finally do. But yeah, that's what we do for tonight's episode. Thanks for watching or listening. If you like what you heard, make sure to follow us at THHoopers on Instagram, G_Martin21 on Twitter. See him say some crazy ass stuff. Put him in a pack. I don't really know Twitter lingo. I feel like an old head. But yeah, get into a good response because George is never caught lacking without his phone. He's got that thing on full time. But yeah, tune in on Monday. We're gonna have our mock draft with Josh back. I think we're doing we're doing lottery 14.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna have Josh Rose back on here for the mock draft, and then Wednesday we'll also be back again, just recapping the draft, and then we got a lot of good stuff coming up for you guys. The season's over, a lot of random stuff we got to talk about, just classic episodes, stuff talking about like our top 25 point guards, sicko stuff like that only we want to do. So you guys got any ideas? Drop them to George or drop them on the Instagram account. Or drop in the YouTube comments. I think we've got like 6 views total on YouTube, but subscribe, please. We upload the video to YouTube if you want to see us. George got a Coke can in the back, and he always has a beard. Never likes to shave. So, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being an OG. Everyone, enjoy the